Thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to kick off our Innovation Launchpad with what is new in Canvas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We would like to just a little refresher, a little reminder, if you're joining us for the very first time, and you might not know what a Launchpad is, here at Embry-Riddle Worldwide, our innovative Launchpad is a series of webinars that is focused on faculty to explore technologies, presents technologies to our faculty to provide tools or even possible solutions that might aim or even help inspire future innovative course development. Today, as you attend our Launchpad, you'll learn about specifically what's new in Canvas, what are new functionalities in Canvas, and what are some potential that we might see that we can look forward to using in Canvas. But before we do that, let's get to today's presenters. Our panelists today, one of our presenters is Tony Cirillo. He is part of our academic innovation. He's our system analyst. We are also joined by Marcus Eldridge. He is support specialist too. He is part of the learning support and development, part of our resources, part of our expertise is Sharon DeRosier, who is our senior instructional consultant with RCTLE. And we also have Cody Sire, who is our senior user experience research analyst for our AIR team. And I am your host. I am part of the instructional technologist. And let's begin. Today's objectives is to present kind of to see what new discussions, if you haven't used discussions in Canvas, there have been several updates, but also even better, there have been several fixes along the line since Canvas mandated a new type of way to post. So Tony will dive into that. We're also going to learn about Canvas messaging. There are several different ways to actually message Canvas. We're also going to explore some hidden features in the Canvas Support Center. There's some exciting new features that Marcus was going to help us out with that. And then we will look for your feedback. Your, um, we would like to look for your experience or possible and potential ways that we might be able to use these features in our roundtable discussion. Let's dive in. Tony, please take it away with new discussions.
Thank you, Jorge. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you guys are joining us today. I'm here to discuss, first and foremost, new discussions, the updates and fixes. And I just want to kind of go back a year ago when we originally started talking about new discussions and what's to come with it, the new features and such. And once we mandated new discussions that, like Jorge said, in May, we sent out a survey to faculty, such as yourselves, to kind of see how everyone's feeling about the new design. And as you can see here, there was a whopping 74% no. When new discussions were first aired out, there was a lot of design features and things going on that was not received well. Well, Instructure has heard your feedback. We have heard your feedback, and we're hoping that with all of these new updates and feature changes, we're going to switch those percentages around. Actually, maybe hopefully shooting for a higher than 74% yes, as a lot of changes happened. So you may be asking, what are these changes? Well, first and foremost, the sorting has been reverted. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, when New Discussions was first implemented, the way the sorting feature worked was that whenever someone posted a new post or a new reply, that post would go straight to the top of the list. And that, like I said, that included replies. So if even if it was an older post, it would go right up to the top. And the sorting became very hard to read through. As an instructor, it's hard to see which ones you've replied to because it kept switching around. And through your feedback, Instructure reverted it back to the way that it was, so that all of the posts are now going to be in order of when they were posted, not including the replies. So now you'll be able to see exactly how it used to work, and it's back to the way that it was. In addition to another fix that Instructure released, if you have experienced this, it is now gone, but the duplicating replies are no longer an issue. Previously, if you were to reply to a student, there was a chance that that reply would be duplicated, and you would see two of them, one on top of the other, and we're not sure why that happened. If you tried to delete one of them, it would delete both of those replies. And it was really odd, and it was very hard to replicate as well. But fortunately, through some tickets with Canvas, we were able to get that fixed, so there will no longer be duplicating replies. So to kind of touch up on some of what features that were added, the next item there are the lines between posts and replies. So if you look in that first image where Jorge's mouse is, you can see that there's a faint gray line separating the post and the reply. And this is there as a visual indicator to help you kind of see where posts end and where replies will begin. Uh, Also, to help kind of see where the differentiation between the post and replies are, uh, in that same picture, you can see two red arrows. There are reply indentations added, and a cascade down further the more replies that you add. So you see where my admin account replied to Marcus is indented, and then that test student is even further indented to show that that test student replied to my message there. So you can kind of see how the messages are supposed to cascade, and it works like how a thread should. And speaking of threads, as you know, discussion boards have a lot of posts and a lot of replies, and this can get very long and a lot to read through. And Canvas introduced a new button. You can see at the bottom there, it says expand threads. It will also say collapse if you happen to click on it. And what this button does is if you were to click on expand threads, it will open up every single post so that you'll see all the replies that are attached to it. Now, on the other side, if you were to click collapse threads, which is if you were to expand everything, it'll say collapse instead. It'll collapse everything so that way you only see the top level post, which is super helpful for when you're trying to grade that first discussion post. And the another huge benefit of this feature is that that button is sticky. And what that means is if you toggle that expand or collapsed, it'll stay that way whether if you refresh the page or revisit it another day. So if you collapse everything to see only that high level discussion post, and then come back to it a couple days later, maybe to grade some new posts, it'll stay collapsed because it has that sticky functionality. So that's pretty much some of the fixes that Instructure release and some of the new features that kind of help quality of life with the new discussion tool. As like I said, everyone heard your feedback and it's working so much better. So that's the new discussion updates and fixes in a nutshell. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Marcus where he can talk about Canvas messaging.
Thank you, Tony. I'm very excited to be here today. My name is Marcus Aldridge, and I'm going to be showing you a brand new tool that we have just begun implementing, which is Canvas messaging. Some of you might have already seen this tool if you've been poking around a little bit in Canvas, as we have started to put out some messages. But I'm going to show you the three types of messages that you can see when we utilize this tool. The three types of messages being systray messages, hint messages, and pop-up messages, which we'll go through individually. The first type of message that you might see is a systray message. These are messages that are intended to be relatively important information that we do want you to see, but isn't necessarily any type of emergency. Information that is, we think you should know, but it is okay that you might miss it. And so these are messages that will be at the bottom right hand of the corner and will just show up as little pop-up windows.
You will have the option to, once you have read this message, close it out so that it does not interfere with anything that you are doing inside of Canvas. And you do also have the option to click Don't Show This Again, which will, once you've closed the window, not show the message again. The next type of messaging that we're going to go through is hints. Hints are messages that are meant to be very focused and very intended for those who are using the tool or feature that the message is referring to. In this situation, we can see that this hint message is discussing the Canvas discussions redesign and is attached to the discussion button. These types of messages will show up when they are hovered over. So in this case, you would only see this message if you were to hover over the discussions button in your course. This is a type of message that we have begun to utilize when the ePortfolios tool was updated. We applied a hints message so that we could make our students and faculty aware of this update, as well as point to important information that applied. This type of message also includes the Don't Show This Again button, so that if you do not want to see this every time that you hover over the button, you can click that checkbox, and once you close it, it will not show up again. The final type of message is a pop-up message. These messages are messages that we intend to be very important, that we do not want you to miss. An example of this that you might have seen in the past was when we had the previous hurricanes come through Florida and a little bit further north. We wanted instructors and students to be aware that certain people may have been impacted by this emergency and to expect some possible delays due to this. We may also have some situations in the future that may not be similar to that, but that we do consider very important. And that is the situations that we would use this message for. Again, you have the option to click Don't Show This Again. And when you close out this message, it won't show it to you. But this message is intended to be read and so it intended to be read. And so therefore, you will not be able to do anything until you actually close out of this message. So when you make this choice to click Don't Show This Again, ensure that it is something that you are positive you don't want to see again. You also can choose to leave feedback if you'd like to, which will help us in future messages that we craft to either improve or continue doing things that you like or dislike. I'm going to throw it back to Tony so that he can tell you a little bit about our Canvas Support Center.
Thank you, Marcus. So you're probably wondering, what is this Canvas Support Center? And I'm here to tell you that you've probably seen it, maybe you've used it, but it is highlighted in that top right picture by the yellow button with the blue kind of outline exclamation mark. And clicking that will open up that Canvas Support Center, which is filled with Canvas guides that are aimed to help you. And a little bit more about that in a bit. And what I wanted to talk about a little bit is we understand that that button may get in the way of your Canvas user interface, and we try to place it in the best spot possible. However, if this is still in the way, in that middle picture there where it says Canvas Help, if you were to hover over that button, you'll see two arrows on the left there. It's boxed in red, where you can click and drag and move that button to vertically on your screen. Now, fortunately, this is also sticky, similar to the expand collapse threads button that I was talking about earlier. So if you were to move it, let's say, to the very most top part of your screen and you refresh the page or visit any other page in Canvas, it will stay at the top. So if you find a place that works best for you, then you are able to leave it there and you won't have to worry about it. So I want to let you guys know that it is movable because we understand it may get in the way. Also, with the Canvas Support Center, kind of at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a picture. It says "Couldn't find your answer" with options of call and chat. And what this is the 24/7 Canvas support that you're probably very familiar with and that you've used previously. With the call and chat buttons, you can either request a phone number to call and talk to a live agent, or you can select chat and use the Canvas chat ticket center to talk to a live agent that way as well. And this is all built into the Canvas Support Center. So it'll be right at the bottom when you were to click on that button. And as for the articles and adaptive support, I'm actually going to let Marcus take that over and explain how that works.
So, as Tony mentioned, the Canvas Support Center is adaptable. And what this means is that the Canvas Support Center is going to look at your role and the page that you're currently on in Canvas to recommend you the best support articles that should help you find what you mean. An example of this is shown on the screen. On the left, we can see what this menu would look like once it is clicked if you were on, say, your dashboard or the global navigation. This menu would, the Canvas Help Center would know what your role is, if you are a student, an instructor, or an admin, and then would also realize that you are on your dashboard to recommend you Canvas support articles that are for your role and the page that you're on. As you can see on the dashboard side, it is showing dashboard and global navigation articles. Whereas we can see on the right, it is showing you articles that are for quizzes and that are for instructors and students. The reason it's showing both is these pictures were captured by someone who has an admin role in Canvas. But if you were, say, an instructor only, you would have instructor articles come up for you instead of both. This tool is intended to be the first line of support for students when they have issues, as well as instructors who may have just general overview questions or have specific questions that they're looking for that could be solved by these support articles. You also do have the option to search if the results that are shown for you are not what you're looking for, and use some of the filters which are shown above. You can also leave feedback to let us know that these articles are or are not what you're looking for, and we can work on trying to help the support center and improve it as time goes on. I'm going to throw this back to Jorge so that he can wrap up this portion of the presentation for us.
Thank you so much, Tony and Marcus. You both did an excellent job of presenting to us several things that are either new to us, nice updates, especially on the Canvas discussions, and I really like that feature when it comes down to the help center. So we posed the question, please, we had at the beginning of our webinar, we said, please test out the chat. And it was for this purpose and this purpose, not only for you to present your questions, but also we would encourage you to post in the chat. Did they present, Tony and Marcus, did they present any new discoveries that you weren't familiar with? Um, Maybe possible opportunities that you might be able to use these features? How can you incorporate it into your teaching experience? We'll take a couple of minutes, a few minutes, to see. It is your turn to see. Give you some time to think about it, and we would appreciate it if you can encourage you to post it in the chat. Okay, so I noticed in one of the questions is how can we implement any of these message types in our Canvas classes for students to see? And thank you so much, Tony, for clarifying that it is used by our team for mass release communication directly through Canvas. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Thank you, John, for sharing that. You found this helpful. Linda, I believe you said you have a question about groups.
Yes, I do, you guys. I've come to the dark side. Good morning, and I'm learning how to use groups in the new course we've developed in sustainability. And I want to say, first, I want to say thanks for the added assistance because there's like 3 or 4 different ways to do any things. And now that this is here, maybe I wouldn't have had to bug you all. But what do you do if part of your group they want to use Teams. Can I tell them, okay, you still have to drag it in? What's the advice that you would give there? You know, they're supposed to keep some of their work in in the group thing, but because of their location in Europe and that, they were working like in teams. And I said, well, let me check into this because, you know, it is my first time working with groups. Has anybody else experienced that? Or how can I say, okay, go drag it and put it into the group there?
So I believe you're referencing just for communication, and you know, we don't necessarily have any sort of policy for what students are, you know, kind of only allowed to use or anything like that. In terms of in terms of their work, we do recommend that they do try to keep their work in Canvas, in, you know, in anywhere that is shared for them that makes it easily accessible for them. But in terms of them communicating, Teams is a great option. It is something that we do allow students to use, and we do actually have a guide for students and faculty that if they do need any assistance with Teams, that we can provide. Um, so yes, I would say using Teams for groups shouldn't be an issue.
Okay, great. Thanks. Because we have group assignments and all the work is coming in. And I just said, how come you're not discussing? You know, I'm curious here. Were they having a difficulty or something? And they said Teams was better for their group discussion for the group project. And I said, okay, I'll just check and make sure that that's not an auditable piece. And Teams is great for that. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Linda, for asking the question, and appreciate, Marcus, you with your expertise of sharing with us on how to address that. Um, I see in the chat, and please feel free to unmute also because now we're going to our next part of our segment, which is the roundtable. If you have any questions that you prefer to raise, comments, any type of concerns, or even potential user case that you might present to us right now, this is the time. Either please put it in the chat or please feel free to unmute and address your any of your concerns or comments or questions, please.
Hi,
I have,
oh,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry. Hi there, this is Courtney McQueen. Sorry to interrupt. I have a question regarding the camera in studio and not necessarily leaving comments and changing the thumbnail. Let's say if I'm making a video for the announcements, but when I'm leaving feedback, let's say within a discussion, or I'm leaving video feedback in the comment section for the student's assignment, the frame always stops and I end up looking very distorted. Now, I understand that we can change the thumbnail within the studio if we're making the announcements, but we don't have that option for the other two scenarios I was discussing. How can we fix this so we're not looking distorted?
Hi, Courtney. Thank you for your question. I think what would be best to move forward, would you be able to submit a ticket to IT support and I can put the email in the chat? That way we can work directly with you and kind of gather maybe some screenshots and understand further. I think you're talking about the speed grader the videos. So we can kind of see exactly what you're seeing and then report that and see about maybe if we can get that fixed or if we can do anything for you.
Certainly.
Would that work for you?
Certainly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I'll put the email in the chat as well in case you don't have it.
Hi, this is Tony Perina. I have a question about the grading area. When I leave a comment for a student, something, let's say, go check your units in problem 3 and let me know what you find. Then when I go back in a few days later, my comment is gone. His might be there, the students or his or hers, but I know there's a way of going back. I have to figure out each time how to go back and look at the previous page, I guess it was, where I left my comment. Is there any way to just leave it there? Because I forget what I've asked when I go through 25 students. I might forget what I've asked some of them.
It's
That isn't, I will say that is an issue that we don't typically see very often. But if again, as Tony recommended, if you open up a ticket with us, we can reach out to Canvas, or you can reach out to Canvas yourself, whichever you think would be the best. And we will do our best to assist you in any way that we can. I I can't say that I've ever personally seen that issue, but I would be absolutely more than happy to look into it for you.
Okay, thank you.
it's Linda. Can I have a second question, please? I've noticed, and I know that there was discussion in different meetings and that about who can be in our Canvas courses. So one of the things I noticed in my course that I'm teaching right now is there's a person in there who I believe is a student advisor to some of the students who are taking a course in one of our degree programs. You know, I think it's really cool where we have UK University in Suffolk. But when someone is added to our course like that the faculty doesn't know, what is the procedure? Because I was kind of surprised to see a stranger in my course.
So typically when we get those requests to add those people to those courses, they do come from department chairs, or they come from people who are higher up. And at the moment, we don't typically have any policy of informing instructors, but that is great feedback, and that is absolutely something that we can start to do. As I said, we don't typically do that. We typically just add them in and then let the requesting chair or, department head know that has requested that, and add them into the course. But I can understand how that would be confusing as someone who's unaware. So that is great feedback, and that is something that we can start doing.
Marcus, great, thanks. Because in this particular situation, we know we all have academic integrity violations. And I didn't know who this person was in, and this person can see all 14 of the students. And in my comments, sometimes I say, this is an informal notification of an academic integrity violation. And I'm like, oh my God, who is this person that can look in any student's grade book that I don't know who it is? So I think that would be really good. And if I could follow it up. So when I go through my department head, because I'm getting ready to launch 411 that's just been redeveloped, the 4 faculty that helped develop it are very interested in a meeting. And there's like 3 other people that want to like do little, what is it, a cameo appearance? So I want to get that set up sooner. So I would like 411 to be open to me sooner. So would I reach out to you guys, do a IT ticket, or who would I do to make sure that everybody's on the same page?
Yeah, so you can reach out to us, and I will put our email in the chat for you. You can reach out to our team directly, which is Learning Support and Development, and we can work on coordinating that to let you know when we can have your course out, if there's anything going on to prevent that from happening, and then also coordinate with any department chairs or other parties that need to be aware of what's happening.
Oh, Marcus, that's fantastic. Thank you. Because I'm like, how many emails do I have to send? And I'm just really excited that I have these cameo appearances coming, and the students, ASCI 411 air traffic management and human factors crosses many venues. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody that wants to participate can and can do it in an early manner. So thank
Hi, I'm John Skripczak. I have a question pertaining to the speed grader and then leaving comments. So I've had this happen a couple times where I leave comments for the student, and then the student comments back in the speed grader, but I have no indication that that comment is there. Either I just happen to come across it and see it, or the student later says, "Hey, I left this comment for you and you didn't answer." Is there any way to get some sort of indication when a student responds in the speed grader?
So I do know that from the student point of view, there is as you said, there is a notification that students get. I am not 100% sure if instructors get the same thing, but I would imagine they are supposed to. And so if they're not, that is something that we can follow up with Canvas and either let them know that that's a feature that's not working or a feature that should be implemented. Because like you say, that is a great thing that instructors should absolutely be allowed to see.
Hey,
So
Marcus, you have to sign up for that notification. You have to turn that notification on, and then it comes to
gotcha.
the instructor as an email.
Okay.
Yeah, John, just to chime in there, if you go in Canvas in the top left-hand corner where it says account, if you click on that and go to the first option where it says notifications, you should be able to scroll down until you see, I believe it's submission comment, and you can turn that notification on if it's off. That should be how you receive those.
Okay, great, thanks.
These are great questions. Just to wrap up and a reminder of not just to mention what these great tips and tricks, that's the whole point of the roundtable discussion. Thank you so much for those that have commented through either the microphone or also in the chat. Excellent questions. We truly appreciate our panel of expertise and everyone that is also responding in the chat. Um, just a friendly reminder that in the Launchpad, we focused on what has been some improvements and fixes with the new Canvas discussions. We also looked at Canvas messaging, and I believe both Tony and Marcus, whether it's verbally or also in the chat, that particular messaging is specific for the masses to communicate through Canvas. And we also learned about how the Canvas Support Center, the Canvas support, the ways that we can utilize Canvas support. So that was excellent. Thank you for also the comments of how we can set up notifications. Let me see. Okay. All right. Oops, I apologize. I changed mine. So that concludes our roundtable. Apologize, I clicked too quickly. That concludes our roundtable. We appreciate you participating today, and these are some of the emails that you can reach out to us for support. We have Learning Support and Development, ECCDL at edu. The instructional technologists, which is my team, we are here to assist with new course development or even current course technologies that you might be interested in. The IT support, of course, is with all the technical issues. And of course, we have our experts with best teaching practices with the faculty resource at RCTLE. We would love your feedback. We have a survey for you. For those that have basically a QR code scanner, which would either be your tablet or if would be your mobile device, please go ahead and do that. But I'm going to copy right now and put that survey in the chat if you give me 1 minute. So it'll be easier to locate. We always appreciate feedback, how we can improve, possibly even questions or comments that you come up after our presentation. So we'll give you a minute for that. Like I mentioned, you can do the scan of the QR code. I also just put the link in the chat and it says very specific survey link, what's new in Canvas 2025. As always, we truly appreciate joining us, your participation. Thank you so much for kicking off our new Innovation Launchpad year with our What's New in Canvas. Just a friendly reminder, all recordings and presentations will be posted to the faculty resource site on the RCTLE TV page. Please stay tuned for our next Launchpad, which would be May 7th, and that would be at 2 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much all for joining us. We truly appreciate your participation. Great questions. I would like to thank all of our presenters and our panelists. You did a fantastic job, always as amazing. And please reach out to us. We are here to help. Thank you so much, and we hope you have a great day.